Let's take a look at why human resource management is important. Most writers agree that managing involves 5 basic functions. In total, these functions represent the management process. Some of the specific activities involved in each function include the following: establishing goals and standards, developing rules and procedures, and developing plans and forecasts. Giving each subordinate a specific task, establishing departments, delegating authority to subordinates, establishing channels of authority and communication, and coordinating the work of subordinates. Determining what type of people should be hired, recruiting and selecting employees, setting performance standards, compensating employees, evaluating performance, counseling employees, and training and developing employees. Getting others to get the job done, maintaining morale, and motivating subordinates. Getting standards such as sales quota, quality standards, or production levels, checking to see how actual performance compares with these standards, and taking corrective action as needed. Human resource management is the process of acquiring, training, appraising, and compensating employees. The concepts and techniques we discuss are important to all managers for several reasons. First, having this knowledge will help you avoid the personal mistakes if you don't want to make while managing. More important, it can help ensure that you get results. Remember that you could do everything else right as a manager but still fail, for instance, by hiring the wrong people or by not motivating subordinates. Small firms often don't have enough employees for full-time human resource managers. All managers have always been, in a sense, human resource managers. They get involved in recruiting, interviewing, selecting, and training their employees. Yet most firms also have a human resource department with its own top manager. How do the duties of this department relate to the human resource duties of a sales and production or other manager? Answering this requires a short definition of line versus staff authority. Authority is the right to make decisions, to direct the work of others, and to give orders. In organizations, line authority traditionally gives managers the right to issue orders to other managers or employees. Line authority therefore creates a superior give order subordinate order receiver relationship. Staff authority gives a manager the right to advise other managers or employees. It creates an advisory relationship. On the organization chart, managers with line authority are line managers. Those with staff or advisory authority are staff managers. Human resource managers are usually staff managers. When the human resource manager suggests that the plant manager use a particular selection test, he or she is exercising staff authority. They assist and advise line managers in areas like recruiting, hiring, and compensation. Line managers have many HR duties. This is because the direct handling of people has always been part of every line manager's duties, from president down to first line supervisor. One major company outlines its line supervisor's responsibility for effective human resource management under general headings, like planning the right person for the right job, starting new employees in the organization, training employees for jobs that are new, improving the job performance of each person, and developing smooth working relationships. Interpreting company policy and procedure, controlling labor costs, developing the abilities of each person, creating and maintaining department morale, and protecting employees' health and wellness. 49% of employers were taking steps to improve line managers' people management skills. In small organizations, line managers carry out most, if not all, HR responsibilities. But as the organizations grow, line managers usually need the assistance, specialized knowledge, and advice of separate human resource staff. In larger firms, the human resource department provides this specialized assistance. Typical positions include compensation and benefits manager, employment and recruiting supervisor, training specialist, and employee relations executive. In practice, HR and line managers share responsibility for most HR activities. For example, human resource and line managers typically share responsibilities for skills training. Thus, the supervisor might describe what the training she thinks the new employee might need, and HR might design the training, and the supervisor might then provide on the job training. However, what HR departments do and how they do it are changing. Because of this, many employers are taking a new look at how they organize their human resource function. You may also find specialized corporate HR teams within a company. These assist top management in top level issues, such as developing the personnel aspects of the company's long term strategic plan. Embedded HR teams have HR generalists assigned to functional departments like sales and production. They provide the employee selection of other assistants that departments may need. Centers of expertise and excellence are basically specialized HR consulting firms within the company. Trends are changing how employers get their human resource management tasks done. These trends include workforce development trends, trends in jobs that people do, technological trends, and globalization and economic trends. The compensation of the workforce will continue to become more diverse, with more women, minority group members, and older workers in the workforce. Between 1992 and 2024, the percent of the workforce that the U.S. Department of Labor classifies as white will drop from 85% to 77.7%. At the same time, minority populations in the workforce are growing. The percentages of younger workers will fall, while those over 55 will about double from 11.8% of the workforce in 1992 to 24.8% in 2024. Many employers call the aging workforce a big problem. The problem is that there aren't enough younger workers to replace the projected number of baby boom era older workers. With the resulting projected workforce shortfalls, not enough younger workers to replace retirees, employers are getting creative. Many are hiring foreign workers for U.S. jobs. The H-1B visa program lets U.S. employers recruit skilled foreign professionals to work in the United States when they can't find qualified American workers. U.S. employers bring in about 181,000 foreign workers per year under these programs, although such programs face increasing opposition today. Under President Donald Trump, the Department of Justice is enforcing H-1B visa rules more forcibly. There are three big trends in jobs people do. First, work has shifted from manufacturing to service. Today, over 2/3 of U.S. workforce is employed in producing and delivering service, not products. Second, today in companies like Uber and Upwork, most workers aren't employees at all. They're freelancers and independent contractors who work when they can on what they want to work on and when they're needed. Finally, more jobs are becoming high tech. Jobs like engineers are always emphasized in terms of knowledge and education. The big change now is that even traditional manufacturing jobs like assembler are increasingly high tech. For managers, the challenge here is that they'll have to manage such workers differently. Globalization refers to companies extending their businesses to new markets abroad. Globalization has boomed for the past 50 or so years. Governments dropped formed economic free trade areas and took other steps to encourage the free flow of trade among countries. More globalization meant more international competition, and more competition meant more pressure to be world class, to lower costs, to make employees more productive, and to do things better and less expensively. Today, a loss of jobs and growing income inequities are prompting some to rethink the wisdom of globalization. Globalization hasn't been without significant cost. As multinational companies jockey for position, many transfer operations abroad, not just to seek cheaper labor, but also to tap into new markets. The search for greater efficiencies prompts some employers to offshore, export jobs to lower cost locations abroad. Some employers offshore even highly skilled jobs, such as attorneys. Managing the people aspects of globalization is a big task for organizations that expand abroad. The period from roughly 2007 to 2015 was difficult economically. Between 2001 and 2007, gross domestic product, known as GDP, boomed. During this period, home prices leaped as much as 20% per year. Unemployment remained docile at about 4.7%. Then, somewhere between 2007 and 2008, all these measures fell off a cliff. GDP fell, home prices dropped by 10% or more, unemployment nationwide soon rose to more than 10%. So much of the boom was built on debt that banks and other financial institutions found themselves owing trillions of dollars of worthless loans. Many businesses and consumers stopped buying, the economy tanked. Eventually, economic trends recovered and became stable. However, that doesn't necessarily mean clear sailing for the economy. Rising interest rates and decreased productivity could possibly be slowing economic growth ahead. Demand for workers can be imbalanced. Almost half of employed U.S. college students are in jobs that generally require less than a 4-year college education. Many of the jobs that the economy added as the economy recovered didn't require college educations. Occupations that do not typically require post secondary education employed nearly 2/3 of workers recently. Similarly, about 2/3 of the occupation with the largest protected employment growth from 2014 to 2024 typically do not require post secondary education for entry. Such imbalances are complicated by a skills gap. The result is an unbalanced labor force. In some occupations, such as engineering, unemployment rates are low, while in others, unemployment rates are still relatively high. Many people working today are in jobs below their expertise, which they may or may not help to explain why about 70% of employees report being psychologically disengaged at work. The bottom line is there's more pressure on employers to get the best effort from their employees. Technology is changing human resource management in two main ways. First, technological change is affecting the nature of jobs. Even in manufacturing, a computers help employee to control their machines or communicate data. Second, technology is changing how employers get human resource management tasks done. Companies are designing mobile apps to deliver human resource management services, and some are using artificial intelligence. Employers also use social media tools like LinkedIn to recruit new employees. These tools will soon produce up to 80% of new recruits. Employers use mobile applications, for instance, to monitor employee location and to provide digital photos at facility check or clock in points to identify workers. Cloud computing based tools enable employers to monitor things like a team's goal attainment and to provide real time direct evaluative feedback. Others use systems to track employee engagement in real time via quick surveys. Data analytics means using statistical techniques and algorithms to identify relationships among data to solve particular problems. When applied to human resource management, data analytics is called talent analytics. Artificial intelligence, known as AI, basically means using computers to do tasks in human like ways. Companies might use an AI to automate tasks or to analyze data. Augmented reality transforms data and superimposes digital images on the world. Personnel management is not new. Personnel tasks were part of every manager's job, something that lasted in most countries until the 1800s. At that time, labor problems began arising in many of the post industrial revolution's new factories, so employers set up welfare secretaries to manage activities like factory washrooms and safety bureaus to oversee plant safety. By 1900, employers set up the first hiring offices, training programs, and factory schools. Personnel management had begun. New union laws in the 1930s added dealing with unions to personnel's task. New equal employment laws in the 1960s made employers more reliant on personnel management to avoid discrimination claims. By the 1970s, globalization made gaining the competitive edge through engaged employees, and therefore personnel management increasingly important. Today, economic, demographic, and technological trends make finding, hiring, and motivating employees more challenging. At the same time, more high tech jobs means employers must excel at managing employees' knowledge, skills, and expertise. This is what we call human capital. A new human resource management is emerging. Human resource management tasks are being redistributed to line managers. Some experts say that if current trends continue, many aspects of HR and talent management may become fully embedded in how work gets done throughout an organization, thereby becoming an everyday part of doing business. So, somewhat ironically, we seem to be shifting in some respects back towards the time before the first personnel departments when line managers did more of personnel tasks. Digital and social media tools are changing how people look for jobs, how companies recruit, retain, pay, and train their employees. In doing so, they've created, in a sense, a new human resource management. Among other things, this prompts sensible human resource managers to make sure their internal processes are fair and that their recruitment processes are civil, for instance, by getting back to rejected job candidates. Recruitment is another familiar way social media revolutionized human resource management. HR today is more involved in longer term, strategic, big picture issues. Strategic human resource management means formulating and executing human resource policies and practices that produce the employee competencies and behaviors the company needs to achieve its strategic aim. In strategy, we set strategic aims to pinpoint the employee behaviors and skills we need to achieve these strategic aims. Then, we decide what HR practices will enable us to produce these necessary employee skills. Employers expect human resource managers to lead performance improvement efforts. First, the HR manager must ensure the human resource management function is delivering services efficiently. This might include outsourcing certain activities, such as benefits management, to deliver its services more cost effectively. The human resource manager takes a prominent role in advising top management about the company's staffing levels and in setting and controlling the firm's compensation, incentives, and benefit policy. With strategic results, the HR management puts in place the policies and practices that produce the employee competencies and skills the company needs to achieve its strategic goals. Improving performance requires measuring what you're doing. Basing decisions on such evidence is at the heart of evidence-based human resource management. This is the use of data, facts, analytics, scientific rigor, critical evaluation, and critically evaluated research to support human resource management proposals, decisions, practices, and conclusions. Put simply, evidence-based human resource management means using the best available evidence in making decisions about the human resource management practices you're focusing on. The evidence may come from actual measurements, such as how did the trainees like the program? It may come from existing data, like what happened to a company's profits after we installed the training program itself. Or it might come from published research studies, like what does the research literature conclude about the best way to ensure that trainees remember what they learn. The bottom line is that today's employers want their human resource managers to add value by boosting profits and performance. Adding value means helping the firm and its employees improve as a result of their action. In a world where sea levels are rising, glaciers are crumbling, and people increasingly view financial inequity as offensive, more and more people say that businesses can't just measure performance in terms of maximizing profit. They argue that companies' efforts should be sustainable, by which they mean judged not as on profits, but also as on their environmental and social performance as well. They need to deliver financial performance while also achieving sustainability. Employee engagement is being psychologically involved, connected, and committed to one's job. Engaged employees experience a high level of connectivity with their work tasks and therefore work hard to accomplish their task-related goals. Employers expect HR to help achieve employee engagement. Employee engagement is vital to employers today because it drives performance. Based on one Gallup survey, business units with the highest levels of employee engagement have an 83% chance of performing above the company median. Those with the lowest employee engagement only have a 17% chance. The problem for employers is that only about 21 to 30% of today's employees nationally are engaged. In one survey, about 30% were engaged, 50% were not engaged, and 20% were actively disengaged. Organizations can create leadership development programs, employee recognition programs, improved internal communication programs, and so on. They can also modify compensation and other policies to enhance levels of engagement. Managers improve employee engagement by taking these concrete steps. The reality is that employee engagement is really a measure of the quality of an organization's managers. Ethics means the standards someone uses to decide what his or her conduct should be. Regrettably, news reports are filled with stories of otherwise competent managers who've run amok. For example, prosecutors filed criminal charges against several Iowa meatpacking plant human resource managers who allegedly violated employment laws by hiring children younger than 16 years of age. HR plays a big role in cultivating organizational ethics today. Many human resource managers use certification to demonstrate their mastery of contemporary human resource management knowledge and competency. Managers have at least two testing processes to achieve certification. The oldest is administered by the HR Certification Institute known as HRCI, an independent certifying organization for human resource professionals. Through testing, HRCI awards several credentials, including the Professional in Human Resources (PHR) and the Senior Professional in Human Resources (SPHR). The largest HR professional association, known as SHRM, or the Society for Human Resource Management, offers its own competency and knowledge-based testing and certifications for SHRM certified professionals and SHRM senior certified professionals based on its own certification exam. The exam was built around SHRM's body of competency and knowledge. Technical expertise is important, but at the end of the day, people's actions are always based in part on the basic assumptions they make, and this is especially true in regard to human resource management. The basic assumptions you make about people comprise your philosophy of human resource management. In every personnel decision you make, the people you hire, the training you provide, your leadership style, and the like reflects, for better or worse, this basic philosophy. How do you go about developing such a philosophy? To some extent, it's predetermined. There's no doubt that you will bring to your job an initial philosophy based on your experiences, education, values, assumptions, and background. But your philosophy doesn't have to be set in stone. It should evolve as you accumulate knowledge and experience. One of the things molding your own philosophy is that of your organization's top management. While it may or may not be stated, it's usually communicated by managers' actions. It permeates every level and department in the organization.